What's up, guys? Mitch Pehlke here, back with a new video. Kind of a different scene, starting a new series on my channel called PELK TALK, interviewing big names. First guy, Jules Heningburg. What's up, Jules?
What's up, homie? How you doing?
Good. How you feeling today?
I'm good, man. Out in Washington State right now. Beautiful day out here. Just hanging out, getting some work done, gonna get a workout in later.
There we go. There we go. I was thinking about doing this series, and your name came to mind, and just all your videos with RJ and Katie. You know, you're a special dude, and a lot of people say that about you, so I appreciate that.
I appreciate that, man. That means a lot.
Yeah, I can remember first hearing about your name, obviously at Rutgers, but it was when RJ and you did a TLN top five, and then when he texted me to do a top five, I went straight to your video first and watched it. And I mean, how much energy does that guy have? I mean, that guy's energy is off the wall. I swear to God, that guy never stops.
Yeah, it's different, definitely. You got to get used to it. I think a lot of the guys in the league now who are not close with him are kind of like, whoa. And then you kind of just see it's like, oh, that's RJ. You got to expect that every time he's around. He's going to come at you with that high energy. It's 100 out of 100 all the time, which is fun, though. It brings up everyone's vibes. It brings good energy out of you. So it's fun to work with him.
Yeah, I mean, is that annoying at all? Like on the field, he's coming to you with the camera and everything?
No, I think it depends. Guys like don't like me on camera, right? So if he's coming up to you and it's just like, RJ, what's up? He's like, tell me about what just happened, all this stuff. And you're either sometimes it's not good, sometimes it's great. But I'm like so used to it now that like I'm ready. Like when I see him coming around, I'm just like, all right, it's time to lock in. Like RJ's got the camera, let's get it going.
Yeah. Well, there we go. Well, let's start from the beginning. Born and raised in Maplewood, New Jersey, with a family of 8. Is that right?
I have 8. So I think 5 siblings. Me, younger sister, me, middle brother, sister, brother, mom, dad. Yeah, that's 8.
Okay. 2 adopted brothers,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, 2 adopted brothers.
Okay. What was that household like?
It was chaotic. I didn't come from like a lot of money growing up, so we didn't live in like a huge house. But I adopted my 2 older brothers when I was in second or third grade. So they were living in my house when we were all in the house together. So at one point there was all of us in a small house in Maplewood, and it was fun to like all of a sudden you have older brothers. You don't think too much of it. They're just kind of guys who start hanging around, and then they're like, oh, these are my brothers now. And then it's just like chaotic and you figure it out. But it's definitely a good learning experience. Gave me a lot of perspective on different things. And I'm still close to them today. So it was pretty cool.
That's awesome. What were your parents like growing up? Were they pretty strict on you, or were they easygoing?
Um, my mom was kind of easygoing with things. She just always supported me, whatever I wanted to do. She was just like, yeah, like whatever you want. I'm like there if you wanna sing. And I did chorus in middle school. If you wanna play basketball, whatever, like lacrosse, whatever you want to do, I'll support it. My dad was more so like, if this is what you want to do, like this is what it's gonna take, and you're not gonna bully me about it because I'm paying for it. And it's like I know what it takes to get to be a successful athlete. He's played Division I basketball at a high school, and he knew that I loved lacrosse, and that I expressed that to him. Said by, hey, I want to go to. We used to have the Canoco Minolta Big City Classic in MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. It's like, oh, I want to go see those games, and I want to talk about lacrosse, and I want to play in college. He's like, all right, well, you want to do all these things. This is what's going to take. So he'd always hold me to a standard with what I was telling him I wanted to do. And he was like, there's no reason to kind of, fake it with me or yourself. He's like, if you want to do it, go do it. So
Yeah.
that was good for me to kind of establish that early on. I think that's kind of lost with some kids with the accountability factor with what they want to achieve when they're young. But I kind of just always had that. So it was a good balance with that with him.
Okay. It's kind of like a truthful household. Like no one's hiding back anything.
No, there was no hiding in my house. Everything was up front, very honest about what was going on. And it's different than other households for sure, but it allowed me to mature quicker than I think a lot of my peers, and put me in position to do the things that I wanted to do. And, when I got to school and high school and college, like I would just look around and see guys and how they're acting and things like that. And I was always just kind of ahead of the curve, I felt like, on just how I perceive some things and what, how my actions were affecting me. Where I thought some other people would kind of just, were just kind of lollygagging through in different aspects of their lives. But I could never get away with that with my dad.
Yeah. That's a lot like, growing up in an Italian family with my mom. Everything's on the table, like, you can't hide anything. If you were doing something wrong, she's yelling at you right then and there. So I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up, was it
Absolutely.
always the ultimate goal to play college lacrosse?
No, I wanted to play college basketball and go to the NBA actually when I was growing up. So when
Oh, okay.
I
That's
was
like
playing
me.
AU basketball, playing AU basketball growing up. You start getting involved in that and seeing, players start getting ranked when you're in like sixth and seventh grade. So it gets pretty serious pretty quick. So from fourth grade, fifth grade, you start getting involved with AAU and we're playing against some good players. Middle school comes around and you start seeing, some of those middle school guys going against older eighth grade players who are ranked going to the big high schools, and they're going to be like the number one player in that high school. So it gets real pretty quickly. And I was kind of younger physically, and I just kind of went to puberty late. So, and then I ended up breaking my wrist in eighth grade. So I kind of just lost my confidence in basketball because of both those things is my right hand, my shooter hand, ball dominant hand. And from there, I kind of had to make a decision, like, was I going to try to overcome, being smaller physically and, not as gifted as a player anymore because of my hand, or was I going to, start to commit to lacrosse more? And I was, honestly, because of those things, I felt like I was just kind of falling in love with lacrosse more. Where I was a smaller kid, but it didn't stop me from, achieving success in the field. I think that's one of the cool things about our sport is you have guys that are huge and are good. You have guys that are really small and are quick and are good. So I was skinny and small, and then I kind of grew up to be taller, and then so a lot of things happened. But I definitely made that decision around seventh to eighth grade that I wanted to play in college and started doing those things that would take me to that level.
Okay, so you're 6'2" now. Did you kinda sprout late?
Yeah, so I was skin and bones. Like if you saw
Really?
pictures of me, like it was crazy. Yes, really skinny. I don't know why. Like just kind of natural. I don't know what happened. My brother's more of a hefty guy. My dad's pretty built. He's 6'4", big guy. I was just growing up late. Now I'm filling out more now as I get older. But I was always skinny. So, and I was smaller. So then I hit a growth spurt in end of eighth grade, going into ninth grade. I shot up like 3 or 4 inches. So I was skinny and small, and then I was skinny and tall. And now I
Yeah.
was like, all right, now I'm tall. And that's kind of funky, like figuring out how to be good when I'm tall now. And then it was kind of coming into my own with that athleticism, just kind of figuring that out.
Okay. So in that kind of, in that stage, any, inspirations you look up to in the lacrosse or I guess basketball world at this point?
In terms of, just like players I look up to.
Yeah, yeah, when you were younger.
Oh, when I was younger. Yes, I would always, I was a big college lacrosse fan, excuse me, in middle school. So like I said, we'd go to these games at MetLife Stadium, and I would watch these college lacrosse players play. And two players that I grew up like idolizing were Rob Pennell and Steele Stanwick. I just
Yeah.
felt like I was like kind of like a ball carrier in lacrosse, and I was like, well, who are the best ball carriers in the game? And those are kind of the two guys that I was seeing all the time, be talked about in the media, and I would go watch their YouTube clips, and I'd try to figure out how to play and do things that they did well. So I'd watch Steele and be like, all right, he's a two-handed player. This makes him so good of his feeding in his two hands. Like, I need to make sure I have that. And then Rob, it was like, he's so good around the cage, finishing the ball. Obviously, had his question mark. I was never going to be good at that. But
Yeah.
I was like, all right, how can I take these things from these guys and try to implement them in my game? So it was fun to have those kind of people you could look up to.
There we go. Did you grow up playing travel ball?
Travel across.
Yeah.
No, so I didn't start playing in eighth grade. I was a bunch of these kids were playing on the team Trilogy, and it was in New Jersey. They had one in Baltimore, and then they had one in Texas, I think. And I was just like, oh, these are all the best players that I know in the state that are, because we played for this U13 team in New Jersey. They used to go to this festival. I don't know if they still do it, but it was a ton of fun. And I made the team, and I felt like I was good player in the state. And I was like, where are all the good players in the state play? And they're all in this team. But then when I joined the team, it was kind of like the year that everyone had left the team. A lot of guys transitioned to this team called Leading Edge to kind of go get recruited more. So that eighth grade going into ninth grade was just kind of like a wash playing on that team. And it didn't really benefit me. And I didn't play club lacrosse leading up to it. And then ninth grade, my dad was like, all right, you're not going to play on that team again. Go play with your brother. you'll play up. So I was playing like I played up my entire career. So I played with my brother in middle school on his 8th grade team. I was in 6th grade, and then when I was when he was going into 9th grade, I played on the varsity summer rec program. So it was like first to
Okay.
senior high school when I was in 6th grade, and then when I got to 8th grade, I'm in 9th grade. He was on the older travel team, so I'd play on that team with him and be like a 2-for-1 deal with my the team we were on. Like you get 2 brothers for one kind of price thing, and
Okay.
then so I was playing against older kids. But like that summer when I was going 9th grade into 10th grade was like when the recruiting started. But I wasn't playing on a club team to get recruited because I didn't know. I was just playing to like play lacrosse more to get
Yeah.
more serious. And then all of a sudden I'm sitting in class that sophomore year, and I'm like looking on Twitter, kids are like starting to commit to places and like commit to UNC. I saw 2 kids committed there, and I was like, that's where I wanted to go. Like my dream school. The coaches never even seen me play.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my experience with club.
So how did that recruiting process kind of turn out for you?
So I like initially when I saw that, like all the kids committing, I was like, holy, like I missed the boat on recruiting. Like I'm not going to Division 1 now because the coaches saw like all the players they needed to see. But that's not how recruiting works. Like there's always going to be spots available. A lot of schools weren't on top of the early recruiting because they didn't, feel like it was worth it for them. And I think you kind of see that pan out now in college lacrosse now in the past couple of years, how players either switch their commitment so late or they get to college and they transfer or don't pan out. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of schools are hesitant about that for good reason. And so when I started to get recruited, it was more so the schools that were kind of the second tier schools that were taking their time. They didn't need to fill up the classes right away with those top tier recruits. They didn't feel like they're missing out on, they didn't get number 1 to 10. They could grab a guy like me, perhaps that was, maybe didn't get recruited, was small before, whatever the case may be, and still work out well for them. So I started to get recruited. I got recruited by like a lot of the mid-major programs and kind of like lower end D1. And then it kind of came down to Navy because the big thing for me was the price of school because it was going to be on my shoulders. So it came down to Navy, which would have been free, obviously. And then Rutgers was the in-state tuition, was scholarship. And they wanted me the most. So it kind of worked out well for that sense.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can remember like when I committed, it's just like you hear all these big names when you commit your freshman year, and then like now I get into college, like you wonder where they are, and they like some of them aren't even playing, and that's like kind of the risk those college coaches take when they do early recruiting. I'm kind of glad
Yeah,
that the rule changed.
I'm very happy the rule changed. I think it helps a lot of players, and it definitely gives a player like me more of an opportunity to potentially pan out and grow physically and mature before. Some guys are just physically mature in 9th grade, and some guys aren't. So it would give guys like me the chance to get on the scene and be seen more by those ACC Big Ten schools.
Yeah, yeah. So you start at Columbia High School and then transfer to Seton Hall Prep. Why the transfer?
So in my town, there was a huge tradition in lacrosse, kind of dating back to one of the first, us and Montclair were the first 2 teams to start lacrosse in the state of New Jersey. So they always had a good lacrosse team in my town. When growing up playing club, it was always talked about, let's get the tradition back to Columbia High School when they're good. Let's do this, let's do that. So I kind of bought into that. I was like, I'm going to Columbia. I'm going to turn the program around. It's going to be awesome. All my friends love lacrosse. We're all good. We were like so good in middle school at our rec program. And then 8th grade, like I saw like it kind of just like teeter off. Like guys, stopped caring about lacrosse as much, weren't developing as much. And I was like, I'm still developing, and I'm like, I'm still have this passion. So I was playing up, like I said, and everyone knew who I was in the town and like my skills, and like saw what I did versus the older kids when I played with them. So I was like, I'm gonna get there in 9th grade. I'm gonna start in varsity, and we're gonna, this is gonna be a thing we're gonna do. We're gonna win a state championship. So I get there in 9th grade after playing that summer with all the older kids, like I said, and that fall in 9th grade in the fall program, starting and doing my thing. Come time for tryouts, the coach, there was a rule that said you can't play varsity as a freshman. Like you can't even have a tryout. So that coach,
Was that a school rule?
that was the coach's rule. I went to his office and I said, listen, man, like I just want to try out. I was like, if I don't make the team, like fine. But I knew I would make the team. I've been playing with these guys for 3 years, and they all know like how good I am. So it wasn't a matter of making the team. It was a matter of, hey, give me a tryout so I can prove to you and the entire team in tryouts that I deserve to be on the team, even though we all know I deserve to be on the team. Because I prove it every time we're playing out there last week together. So he said no. And I was just like devastated, like broke down crying, like cried the whole day at school that year. I was just like, this has been something I'm working towards for like 4 years since 5 years now, and I can't even get a tryout. So that pissed me off. And then I come back next year. I obviously make the varsity. I'm starting. I'm like me and my other buddy, like the best players in the team. And this guy was just like cursing me out, just like on me all the time, just call me out in games. And it got to the point where I was like, dude, just like I'm not like, why would I stay here and like have you be on me all the time? You're not doing anything for me. He was hiding recruiting letters from me. So I was like, I'm getting out of here. Like I'm not going to stay here, put my blood, sweat, and tears in a program that you don't care about as much as I do, and a team where the other players around me aren't on the same wavelength about what I want to do.
And that's all from your head coach?
Yes.
Wow.
And so then I was like, I'm getting out of here. So I transferred to a prep school in our area where the coach I was like, hey, I'm transferring. I was like one of the best sophomores in the state. He was like, all right, great. So he's like, help me get in, help me out with it. I built a great relationship with him. He's like a father figure to me. Brought me in. I couldn't play for half the season, so I was out 30 days, and that's a transfer rule in New Jersey. So when I started playing, we were 2-8, the team. So we were 2-8, and my coach is so funny. Like at the end of it, we go on a 10-game win streak when I started playing. We beat the number 1 team in the country, and then which was Del Barton at the time, and then we make the state championship, and then we lose by 2 in the state championship. And then after, I get named a captain at the end of the season for the following season. And my coach was like, we were good. Like, I always knew we'd be fine. We had plan B in the back pocket the whole time. Jules was coming out because I practiced all the time with the team.
You practice, you just couldn't play, right?
Couldn't play. So I practiced and he'd limit I get limited reps with the full game stuff. But I was watching the team. I was like, all they need is someone out there kind of orchestrating more. So they had a lot of the weapons, but they didn't have more of a ball carrier. So then he was like, all right, the minute he started playing, things will be good. And then we started playing, and just kind of gave a kickstart to the team. So it was fun, and it was a great experience for me to kind of learn and go to a different environment. But I knew that I had to get out of that school, and that there was more out there for me.
Yeah, was that hard to get out of Columbia? Were all your boys there?
Yeah, they were, but at the end of the day, and this is something I learned early on. Your boys are going to be, the guys that are people that want to see you succeed and do things on the level that you're doing. When you start to grow friendships when you're older and get more mature, it's you're not going to have people, you're not going to want to have people you're not going to surround yourself with people that aren't lifting you up and challenging you as a person and as an athlete, right? So that was, I recognized that young, that wasn't going on, and that I wasn't, I was the one lifting everyone up, but I was dragging them with me, and I didn't feel like that was good for me. So I needed people to challenge me and lift me up, and me kind of lift them up as well. And I knew that I'd get that more at Seton Hall. And then, same thing in college. It was the same experience, and now for pro too. And you'll lose friends, and you'll see over time that those are people that you didn't want in your life anyway. So
yeah. And why'd you end up picking Seton Hall?
It's just because the price of the school, it wasn't crazy compared to a Del Barton. I thought it was a school I could go to and get in academically, which I got in by the skin of my teeth, honestly. And then I think, it was just the distance as well. It was only 15 minutes from my house. So it was just kind of a lot of factors kind of played into it.
Okay. You said it was 15 minutes from your house?
Yep.
Okay. So you said earlier that you coached trilogy in your high school, your high school summers. Is coaching something you want to get into after you were done playing?
I didn't coach. I actually worked at trilogy in
the
summer, going to my junior year of college, or senior year of college. But I played for them for that one summer. But so do you ask, is coaching something I want to get into?
Yeah, after when you're done playing.
Yeah, so I coach high school now. I love coaching in general, whether it be at the youth level, training one-on-one with players in small group, or at the high school level. I think for college, I don't personally want to get involved with it right now. I think it might be different when I'm older, if the right position presents itself. And I kind of come into that. A school like Rutgers, it's something open up there, and I was financially in a position I could be able to take that job or something like that. But for now, I always talked about before, I'm starting the Mission Prime stuff, where it kind of gives me the chance to communicate with seniors who I feel like are mature enough, and then are going to their college experience where I feel like you really develop as a man. If I can have an influence on that and their college experience and what they'll be able to do for the rest of their lives, that's kind of what I want, the niche I wanted to get into. So by starting Missing Prime, it gives me a chance to get my hands on those guys and coach them in a way, without, committing to a full college program, and, but also having my local high school program that I'm coaching.
Yeah. So in high school, committing to Rutgers, unranked, did that ever bother you?
Yeah, I used to be super bitter about that. I think part of the reason why I was unranked was because, I wasn't putting myself out there, with lacrosse, and lacrosse is not a sport that has a ton of resources. So it's like the people that are doing the rankings and doing that stuff, which is mainly inside lacrosse, I think they do a great job with what they have, right? I think if you look at a sport like football or basketball, there's so much more money in the sport. And so naturally more people are going to be covering it and digging to find the stuff out about recruits, and guys know where to go to get seen. And it's just a better oiled machine. So I was always bitter, thinking that I was getting missed out on looks and this and that at the third, because, that they thought I wasn't as good. But looking back on it, I think it was less about me not being as good, and it was more about me, just not being seen. I wasn't playing club lacrosse. I didn't play on that summer to get recruited when all those rankings come out. I didn't play at a good prep school my sophomore year, so I didn't play at Under Armour to start. They choose Under Armour Americans from who plays in the summertime at Under Armour. Like, there's just a lot of things that go into it. But I was very bitter about it. And then when I got to college, I was like, I'm gonna make sure that they know, and that I know how good I am. Which is, it's a tough line. You got to teeter being, because bitter that can take you the wrong way pretty quickly. So you got to teeter the line of like handling your business and focusing on yourself, and being bitter about what you don't have.
Okay. And you said, I forget, I was watching a couple YouTube videos about you, and you said in high school or college you didn't listen to music pregame. You still do that? That's like wild to me. I don't know how you don't do that.
I just never really, felt like I had my own, niche in music when I was younger. I think when I was in high school, like, we'd have the music we listened to in the locker room, and that was like fine for me. And then in college, I didn't like get into like what I felt was inspiring me before I played. I kind of just like would do things here and there. And then I was like, all right, I think it's time to start establishing more of a routine, and like because I want to be able to maximize myself on game day every day. The best players that do that have a routine, right? I was just kind of like lollygagging, walking around the locker room, just like seeing whatever, stretch a little bit, whatever it is, roll out, and then I just go on the field. And then sometimes I play well, sometimes I didn't. So then I started to get into music more when I recognized, what it could do for me mentally, and kind of the state that it would get me in before a game. So now I have music that I listen to before games. I have my AirPods, I have my headphones, the stuff that I do.
Okay, what's the pregame music looking like now? A little rap, a little rock? What do we got?
I think so. It depends. It's senior year. My buddy made a playlist for me that was a little bit of EDM, a little bit of like inspirational music, a little bit of rock. Now I think there's a couple songs I listen to from that, but I try to change it up each year, because I think like each year kind of has its own journey and the music kind of goes hand in hand with that. So the music I was listening to when I was a senior, I'm kind of leaving that in the past, right? And then the music I listen to now is like, this is where I'm at now in my life. What I'm listening to, like, this is what's going to help prepare me mentally to focus on the field right now, because music is so transcendent with everything, right? So, and lacrosse isn't just about what you're doing on the field. There's so much more outside of it. So it's kind of like a culmination of everything in my life that's coming onto the field right now, and having the music kind of drive that. So I mean, my favorite artists right now are DaBaby and Roddy Ricch. So,
yes,
like War Baby is like my
Baby's
favorite
new
song.
Album.
Yeah, so War Baby is like, if I got play that, I'm locked in now. Like,
you're fired up. I love that.
Yeah.
In high school or college, any pregame superstitions?
Not until I was a senior, really, did I start getting into that. I don't think superstitions, but as much as this is what I need to do to like get ready for me to play at my best. Like, I have to eat this, get this amount of sleep. I have to be careful about when I eat in the morning, because I have like weird stomach, like get like bugs. So I don't like stomach bugs, like the nerves. So I can't eat before the game at certain hours. But then I'll have no energy if I don't eat. Like I'm a skinny kid. I have no, extra fat reserves lined up
Yeah.
for me. So I was like, I got to make sure I get energy in my body at a certain time, and then roll out. I have, some stretching, some kind of mobility stuff I do, and then listen to my music. I listen to this like kind of recording that my sports psychologist helped make for me, and then
Okay.
other than that, just getting my stick ready, dialed in, making sure it feels good, and I'm good to go.
There we go. Off topic question. Are you still driving the Sebring, the 2004 convertible?
Dude, so that thing I brought it. So I had that thing for my first car. My dad bought for me in high school, and I brought it to college. It worked for 5 years. Like my siblings would get these like kind of cruddy cars my dad would buy for us. Like buy your first car and you figure it out from there. So like $2,000. It had like 190,000 miles, and it was a top down though, so it was kind of swaggy.
I know,
And
that's nice. I love that.
yeah, and then we brought it to school, and like it got to the point where like guys would it was like the last car in the driveway, and like guys would drive whatever the last car in the driveway was, and I was like, Jules, like, dude, like we almost died again driving this thing, and so then I like brought it back home, and then I moved out to California, and I'm like, Dad, yeah, I think it's dead. Like you could just kill it. It's done.
Yeah, you can
So
take it. It's all you.
I retired it. So I'm gonna buy my first real car soon, actually out here.
There we go. All the guys bust on you.
Yeah, but I had a car, so if you needed a ride, like you could take the car. So
Yeah,
you didn't
yeah,
want to bust so much, you know what I'm saying?
yeah. That's true. So you step on Rutgers in that fall, your freshman year. Did you know from the start like this was home?
No, I hated Rutgers my freshman year.
Really?
I hated the dynamic of our team in terms of like I just felt like I cared so much about lacrosse, and there was so much more going on than just lacrosse, which is like tough for me to understand. Um, but then you kind of grow up a little bit, and you see that not everyone is, and not everyone can be as invested as you can be. Guys have different roles on the team, and guys have different priorities. But I felt like we could work more towards like a common goal on the team, and if we had that going, that we'd be a better team. So I kind of had to like process that as a freshman. I didn't like necessarily the like living in the dorms, like what it was like there. I thought we
Brutal.
had crappy dorms, crappy like food place. So like, and I wasn't playing well because I had like some injury stuff I was dealing with and mental stuff. So I wasn't playing well. But I was starting, and I kept starting. And then, guys would be like talking to me on the team, a freshman start, he's not playing well. Like, and then I was like in a hole. So it was like all this shit kind of coming down on me at once. And I was like, this is not what I thought this was going to be. Like, I wanted to come in here and help, change the program. I'll do all this stuff, but this place is just this is too much. Like, I can't
Yeah.
do this alone. Um, and then sophomore year came back. I was like, I'll give it one more year. I was like, I know I'm not a quitter. Like I'm gonna give it another chance because this is like I committed here. And if it doesn't work out again, like I'm gonna transfer. And then we had a sick sophomore year. Like things turned around in a lot of different ways. So I was like, this is like I love this place now. And you kind of like become like a Rutgers kid.
Yeah. Do you think that first year was tough just because everything was new to you? You didn't really have a routine?
No, I think it was tough because there was just a lot of change that needed to happen in the program to get it going in the right direction. And I think there's just like this comes with any company or organization or team is there's a culture on the team that you have, and it's lived every day. And if the culture is not a winning culture and you believe you're trying to do the things to win, it's going to be frustrating. And I felt like that, and that was just hard for me mentally to deal with. And then my sophomore year, I had the upperclassmen on board. My good friend Scott Bita, he was my captain at the time. Like he wanted the same thing that I wanted. So like when I could start to build a better relationship with him, and I wasn't a freshman, and I was playing at a high level now, it was like, all right, we're in this together. Like we want to change this program and like do big things. Like you're a senior, you're a captain, you set the standard for the culture. I'm a young underclassman. I have the skills, I have
You'll
the
follow it.
wherewithal to yeah, exactly, to do what you want to do, and I'll do and set a standard for the younger guys. So it was like a good like yin yang relationship in that sense. And then I was like, yeah, this is awesome. Like this is exactly what I wanted out of my college experience.
That's cool. I love that. What
Yeah.
so getting on to Rutgers that fall, not really liking it. What was kind of like that aha moment, like in practice or a game that I was like, wow, this is like college lacrosse. Like I got to step it up. This isn't high school ball anymore.
I think the aha moment was for me was our first game where we played, or it might have been our first or second game. We played Richmond, and I was just like getting demolished in the game, and it was just over and over and over again. And I was like, this never ends. I was like, this is crazy. Like, I have no, positives to pull from right now, like anywhere. And I was like, I didn't get that ground ball. I didn't score that shot. I dropped that pass. Like, I was like, is this how it's gonna be every game? Like, how much better do I need to get to like get this? So it's like I'm just floating at this point.
Yeah.
And at the time, the guy that was guarding me, this kid, Brendan Haynes, I think his name was, he was an All-American at Richmond. He's 6'4", like monster kid. He was like one of the best defense in the country, which I didn't know. I thought we were just playing Richmond, who were just like some new program. And
Yeah.
that was a lesson I had to learn was anytime you step on the field at a Division I school, the other kid on the other side was the best player at his high school, and he's been working hard. He's got something to prove. And I was just some little freshman that thought I was at Rutgers and that I was going to be better than that kid at Richmond. And then that punched me right in the face. So that was like when I was like real.
Yeah. Most nervous you ever been before a college game?
Let me think about that. I want to say Big Ten semis, playing Johns Hopkins is like the first like real taste of a championship, like on a big stage. I never played in the Tournament of Champions in New Jersey, which was like the big stage. I played in the like the it's your non-public, it's like your group state championship. You win that, you go to a Tournament of Champions, which was like I was like balling out and that stuff, and like felt like when the big stage was on, I was ready to rock and roll. But like this was like Big Ten championships at Homewood Field versus Johns Hopkins. Like this is the I think the second or third time we played them. I think it's the second time we played them. And
What year was this for you?
2016, my sophomore year.
Sophomore year.
And I was like, all right, like it's showtime. Like I was like, this is time to like cement myself as like one of the best players in the country. And I was like, cement like Rutgers is like we're the real deal if we win this game. And like I was kind of like perceiving it the wrong way a little bit, where I was a little bit more immature mentally, and I think it kind of got to my head a little bit, the nerves, as opposed to just being in the moment, calm, controlling what I can control, and focusing on each play as its own. I was kind of letting the moment get to me a little bit.
Okay. When you got that call from Paul Clark to be on Through the X, how did that make you feel? I mean, being on that with Pat Spencer, Michael Sowers, what type of moment was that for you?
Okay, so I don't know. I don't remember exactly. I think it was a text I got.
Oh, okay.
From Tyler Steinhardt, I think.
Yeah.
Or Jordan. They're both at TLN at the time, and they're like, yeah, we're doing this 3X series, yada yada yada, and it was originally supposed to be about Adam Beatties. So Adam was my alignment. So we had me, Adam, and Kieran. So I think it was supposed to be about all of us. And we were gonna be like a nasty dynamic attackman together. Like Kieran was coming in. He was great player. He's like one of the all-time greats at Rutgers. And I love playing with him. He's a quarterback type player. So he was really good. And then we had Adam, who was the Big Ten freshman of the year, and like this Canadian lefty gunslinger. And then there was me, who like I usually am the one to fall through the cracks. So I think it was originally supposed to be more about Adam. Then Adam tore his ACL. And then once he tore his ACL, they're like, we're still doing this, and we're gonna do it on Jules and like focus on Jules. And I was like, all right, like I'll run with that. Even though it wasn't originally supposed to be about me, but I'll run with it. And I know how the season's gonna pan out. Like whether Adam was gonna play with me or not, I was gonna be the ball carrier and the quarterback, and Adam's like does his wing play and would step up a little bit more as a ball carrier. But that was just based off us practicing and like seeing what was going on and what my role would be. So I was like, I don't know what they were thinking in their head, but I was like, I'll just explain and talk to them what's going on, and like whatever happens, happens. And then they didn't play the Through X, like air it until May. So they filmed it in January and then aired it in May, having no idea.
That's what I wondered, because I remember it going out in May and it was still being snow and stuff on the ground. I was like, this can't be right.
So they didn't have any idea how I'd pan out, right? Say I was a bust and I didn't play well that senior season, and I was like not doing well, whatever you want to call it. And then they try to put this direct together. It's not going to get like the same publicity or press, right? It's not going to do well. But at the time when they released it, I was leading. I led the Big Ten in scoring, so like in points. So it was like, all right, we just filmed this in January, and then he just did this, and now it's like he's going into May into Big Ten playoffs, and like he's like it's him and Connor Kelly are like the front runners for Player of the Year in the conference. So it was like it kind of worked out like that.
Yeah. Okay. Is your favorite player still Lonzo Ball?
No, my favorite player is Kyrie Irving.
Okay.
Or Dame Lillard's up there now actually too. But Lonzo,
Really?
I just love Lonzo because I felt like his personality was like very in line with mine. He's just kind of like low key, but he just like got the job done. And I felt like his style is kind of like more to get everyone involved and like do the right things as opposed to making everything happen himself. And I felt like that was like my style as well. And I thought that I think now he's playing on Pelicans with a guy like Zion where he doesn't have to be the man. He's like his game where he doesn't have to be like scoring 20. He's not the guy that's going to score 20 a game to win the game, but it'll give you like 12 to 15 and then get like 14 assists and have like 7 rebounds. So it's like a different style of being good, but I think he needed another guy to like help him kind of execute that. And I think him and Zion are going to be able to turn some heads for the next couple of years doing that.
Okay. Are you a huge NBA guy?
Not huge, but I do like the NBA. Basketball, like I said, was my favorite sport growing up. I grew up as a New Jersey Nets fan, and then I would go. My grandfather had tickets to us for like every game during the season, so we'd always go. And then they fizzled out. They got sold to Brooklyn, and I was heartbroken. And then I started to kind of become more of a Brooklyn fan recently, but it's not the same. But it's definitely the team I support more than any other team.
You watch more NBA or college?
I think it's a split of both. I think it's depending on who's playing in college, but definitely NBA when certain guys are on. And when I'm back home in New Jersey, especially with my brother, he loves watching sports, so we always watch together.
Okay. And that tattoo on your forearm, number 56, what does that mean?
So that's my cousin on my dad's side. He passed away a couple of years ago now. I think it's 4 years ago in a car accident. And he was kind of like when we were younger, he played Division I football at Boston College, and his dad played in the NFL. His older brother played in Maryland, all great athletes. So like when we were younger, I was like, fifth, sixth grade, like fourth, fifth, sixth grade, we'd go to their house in kind of New York border, Massachusetts, and it had this huge farm. And we'd go and we'd like run around the farm. Our uncle, he's like my dad's first cousin. So like my kind of, I don't know exactly what you call it, but he was basically my uncle is what we called him. He'd like wake us up in the morning, like 4 a.m., bring us down the road. We'd run the hill, bring us back up. He'd feed us. Then we go outside for more workouts. Then we come inside, eat again. Then we do chores, and then we have like playtime. And like we do that like Camp Brian. And while we were doing that, it was like he was doing that for his sons. And then we were like looking up to them, like, oh, these are like the athletes in the family. Like, this is like who we want to be. Like, I want to play college. I want to play college lacrosse. I want to play in the NBA. Like, these guys are doing it. So it's kind of like who we always like idolized. And so that he wore 56 at Boston College. So that's the way we all got this tattoo on us.
Okay. So when I say the name Keith Cromwell, what does that mean to you?
Rutgers GOAT.
Really? Stepping onto Rutgers, was that kind of the ultimate goal to kind of be leading all-time points at Rutgers?
I think for me, they kind of coincide. Like I felt like if I was going to be the player I wanted to be, that would be a byproduct of, doing that. And if Rutgers wanted to go to the level I believed we could get to. And I knew that I would have to be like leading that charge in the offensive side. Like that would be inevitable. I would be able to achieve that. I think I didn't have as productive as a freshman and junior year as I could have had for a number of reasons. But he was all-time points leading by like 60 points. He's like 266. I'm at I think 207, and he recruited me. So it was like he was like my offensive coordinator. Yeah. So he recruited me, and I was like Keith Cromwell. Like he's the best player to ever play at Rutgers. Like a legend. He's recruiting me. Like he believes in me as a player. I'm like, maybe I can do something here and like go to Rutgers and make something happen. And then he ended up kind of drifting out of there, and he wasn't there when I was a player. So I got there and I was like, well, I saw the record boards and he was on there and everything. So I was like, I'm gonna do this. I gotta take that record out. So
Yeah. First, when you stepped on, that was kind of the goal. It wasn't like just sophomore year, like, oh, I'm gonna go after this record.
it was never like I'm gonna go after this record. It was like, all right, if we're gonna be good, I need to be good. If I'm gonna be good, I want to be like the best player I can be, which is like I knew one of the best players in the country. So like
Yeah.
if I was gonna be the best player in the country, it meant that I had to put up X number of points a game. And like if I wasn't doing that, then we weren't gonna win games. So it was like if I put up X number of points a game, minimum I had to put up minimum 4 points a game for us to have a good chance to win. If I was getting under that, that meant like I was getting locked off by my matchup. Other guys weren't being opened up as much. Someone else had to step up that wasn't ready to step up potentially. There's a lot of factors that went into it. So I was like, I got to give these minimum to these guys every time I'm on the field and play to my, upper 95th percentile. If I get to 100%, I can drop, 10, 12 points in the game. If I fall a little bit below and I was 6, 7, 8, if I, it's not a great day for me, like 3, 4, 5. So that was kind of just like how I framed it. And then over the 14, 15 game season, if you're averaging those points, it's going to add up,
You're hitting it. Yeah. Yeah. So graduating from Rutgers, having a great career, unbelievable career, getting drafted 7th by the Florida Launch. Do you think you were honestly ready for professional lacrosse?
Yeah. So when I was a senior, like I'd figured everything out, like how to prepare my body in every way possible. So like sleep, nutrition, hydration. I was a film rat. I knew how to get better at the things I wasn't good at. I knew how to fine tune my strengths. I knew how to play to my potential every time I stepped in the field. And I knew I was more athletic than majority of people I was going up against. So I knew that when I got to the pros, it was going to be a little bit of a feeling out process. But I had been playing in the summer times, and seeing pro players. So I knew guys that were playing and like how I matched up physically versus them. So I was like, when I get there, like I have a baseline of like what I can achieve, and now it's going to be like how good of a pro player can I be. So when I got there, I'd actually, my coach didn't notice at the time, like messed up my right hand. The story's for another day, but I couldn't close my hand. Like it was broken. I was icing it every single day, and I was like, I can't tell them that I just like broke my hand. So I was icing it every single day, like the entire day for 2 or 3 weeks straight, and it wasn't getting any better. And then they're like, all right, first game in Florida, because we weren't playing in the NCAA playoffs. And they were like, called me and they're like, hey, like fly down, play in this game. I can't even throw righty. Like I'm screwed. So I started off playing with like at midfield versus short sticks, basically, running out of the box. But luckily I can go lefty. So I just like kind of catered to my left hand. But every time I like go to throw righty, I was just like, oh, like I can't even do this. So it was an adjustment with that. And then once my hand got better and I was in, over time playing in practice, I eventually got a look at attack. And then I started to kind of find my role at the attack, and I was starting, and I thought I was kind of like the glue guy with the attack line. We had Kieran McCardle and Bill Malloy, who were both phenomenally talented players. And I felt like every attack line I've ever been on, there was always a lot of talent, but I was like kind of the guy that would piece the talent together, and like because I can kind of float all over the field, whatever they needed or needed help with, whether that was like them throwing to me at X to my right hand, or them throwing across the crease to my left, whatever it was. I could be that guy for them. When they were tired, I could dodge, when whatever it was. So once I started to get in a groove with that, I knew that I could make an impact at the pro level at a pretty high level.
Did the MLL feel like what you thought like professional lacrosse was? Like, did it feel professionally?
I think it was weird because I think it's different for the MLL. It's different for different organizations. For me in Florida, I didn't feel like it was supposed to feel the way that I thought it was going to be, but I think that was just because I was in Florida. I think I talked to guys that were in Denver and they're having a great experience. And my roommate Garrett Epple, he was playing in Chesapeake, and he was having a good experience. And I was in Florida, and I thought that the way that we were doing things as a team, operating, like I remember distinctly we played one game versus Charlotte and we won, and then we ended up playing the next game versus Denver. And I could sense in the locker room that we were like feeling is like if we were just going to run over Denver, who I knew was a good organization, and like good organizations don't just like lose back-to-back games like by a lot. Like there's they'll check themselves and like recuperate and come back strong. And so I was like, they're not just gonna let us walk all over them because they like lost last week, and we're not that good. But I was like, every time I step on the field, I have a certain level, like I said, threshold that I'm trying to play at, and I know how to get to that mentally. And it's just a matter of preparing myself physically to be able to be in that realm that I'm always like consistently able to get to. So that game, like I had 7 points versus Denver, and then we lost 21 to like 8, and it
Really?
was like, or 21-9, yeah. And it was like, I was like, dude, what is going on? I was like, we're playing another pro team. Like, I know these guys are really good. Like, why do we think that we could just like walk out here and like this will be a cupcake? And then I was like, all right, and I was like, this is not like what I thought it'd be. I thought it'd be every team like going out there to battle, like is going to be playing, you know, the highest level they can play every time. But it's the same. It's guys that are in college and they get to pro and their priorities change, right? It doesn't, you know, especially for lacrosse where it's not a full-time sport yet, as we'd like it to be as like the NBA. So it's hard to, you know, get up for every week if you're not at a certain level mentally and handling things off the field to allow you to do that.
Yeah. So then you get drafted 38 to the San Diego Seals. You know, I know growing up you never really played indoor. Was that a big change from playing field your whole life then to playing in the NLL?
Yeah, it's a huge adjustment for me. I think, you know, I haven't been able to really find my place in the NLL yet. I think there's a lot of factors that go into that. It's a lot of NLL is different than MLL in the sense that they're really grooming guys in NLL. There's so many Canadian players that are coming out of major series of lacrosse and juniors. And it's not like the MLL where you come out of college, they just throw you in the fire. It's, you know, there's guys that come into the NLL and don't play for 2 or 3 or 4 years, and then we'll crack a roster. And our coach shooter, Josh Sanderson, you know, he was on the practice roster the first 2 or 3 years of his career, and then goes on to be one of the greatest of all time. So it's not like it's different. So I kind of understood that and swallowed that pill. And for me, it's been a great experience to, you know, learn from so many different players and get to experience the game in a different way. That's allowed me to kind of continue to grow and take different attributes from other players and continue to refine my game in ways that I didn't even know that I could have been refining my game in. You know, one of the things that, you know, is the biggest thing for indoor is, you know, snapping your wrist when you shoot the ball. It's something I was doing, but I wasn't constantly doing all the time. And once I realized that you couldn't score without snapping your wrist in the box, I was like, wow, like now let's see what happens when I'm doing that on field. And all of a sudden, I'm like, every time I shoot the ball, like it's pretty much going in the net, like from my range, because I know how to like just get it, like snap it past the goalie, like quick release. So just little things like that have been great for me to kind of grow.
Okay. Then Paul starts the PLL, and you get placed on the Whip Snakes with all the other Big Ten guys. You know, were you excited or kind of pissed off being teammates with the rest of the Big Ten guys you've been competing against for the past 4 years in college?
No, I was really excited because I felt like they were, you know, there was the only team in college that I never beat. And it was Maryland. And it was one of those things where we were so close so many times. It was triple overtime my junior year, which is crazy. And we were so close. And the reason I felt like we weren't over the hump was because they just had more talent all across the board, and they were doing everything that we were doing, but with more guys that were talented doing it. So they're sacrificing, they had the depth. They're sacrificing, making sure that they're showing up on game day, ready to play at the highest level. They're working hard. Like they compete really hard on the field when they play. It's never going to be a cakewalk with them on the defensive side. On the offensive side, they're going to like run you into the ground and have guys attacking you all the time. So I was like, this is what I would love to have been a part of that, right? Because it would have been everything I felt like we were doing at Rutgers and needed to do to win games, but also they had more talent. So like now I was like, I have the talent and I'm getting placed in with these guys. It's an opportunity for me to show and prove myself that, you know, I was doing those things at Rutgers, and now that I can do it at the pro level with you guys all from Maryland. And, you know, it was great for me to build those relationships with those guys. A lot of them I'm still friends with now, even though I was traded. And it was great to kind of be on the inside of what, you know, was that 2017 national championship and NCAAs, and, you know, them making all those Final Four runs, the national championship runs. All those guys were on that team.
Yeah.
So it was great to be like included in that and see what it took for them. And I could learn from that as a player to become a better leader, a better player, better person. And then, obviously I was traded. I think it was just, too good to be true. I was the only team I never beat. I'm getting stuck in there. I felt like I was the kind of, if I had a couple more guys, I would have been able to beat them in terms of playing at Rutgers, and then I'm on their team. So it was like too good to be true.
Yeah. Yeah. So then you get traded to the Redwoods. Kind of take us through that moment.
Yeah, so I got a call on Monday after we beat, I think, the Archers in overtime. I threw the game-winning assist, and I had another goal. Didn't play bad. And if you get a call from your coach, usually like that, off the rip, it's to either, you're going to get sat or you're going to get traded. So I knew I wasn't getting sat, and I was like, all right, I'm getting traded. And I figured it would eventually happen because the way I played well at training camp, and I wasn't playing great in our first couple of games. I was still number 2 or 3 on the team in points, but we just had so many guys that they were trying to filter through the lineup that it was just like, someone's got to go. So it's going to be either me or Ben Reeves was going to go because another team could utilize one of us in a bigger role. And for me, I was never about, trying to be on a team where my role was bigger. I've always felt like my skills and what I brought to the table would shine through my role. So I knew that if I was going to be playing with Rambo, that it was going to take some time, but that Rambo would figure out what I brought to the table. And then I knew what he brought to the table. And then we worked in tandem, and I'd be able to be productive. He'd be able to be productive. Obviously, someone's always going to be the main guy, but like, as long as I'm doing my job and I'm playing my style and giving up the ball when I'm supposed to and scoring when I'm supposed to, I felt like it doesn't matter what team I'm on.
Yeah.
So I thought that would develop, and then it didn't because, coach just saw things differently. And obviously it got traded, and it was a great opportunity for me to have the ball more in my stick on the Redwoods and try to be more of a leader on the offense there. And things worked out pretty well for me.
Yeah. So full circle, you guys end up playing them in the championship. How bad did you kind of want to beat them for kind of that revenge?
I think at that point we had played them. That'll be a third time playing them.
Yeah.
So we beat them, then they smacked us, and then it was championship game. It was less about revenge at that point for me and more about, this is the first championship game I've played in since my Big Ten championship in 2016. This is really like the biggest stage I've ever been on in the sport. I didn't play in a national championship. I was like, what it would mean to me to kind of, win this would just be a culmination of everything I've been working towards my entire life. And so I looked at it more like just an opportunity and less about the opponent on the other side.
Okay. Favorite moment from your first season in the PLL?
I think when I was traded, the first game, it was, for me, I'd always kind of been able to visualize things and see them before they happen, just because I'm good at recognizing small victories and seeing what it's taking to like take the next step. So I knew I had the skills and the talent to be producing more, and I knew what it would take for me to do that a little bit physically. I was dealing with some stuff traveling and going from the West Coast to East Coast with my legs and how I felt. So that was like new to me. And then I said, once I get this under control and my legs are there and feeling the right way, I was like, I know I'm going to be able to do this and play at the level I want to play at. So that week I flew in early to Baltimore and stayed with Ryan Drenner, not knowing I was getting traded. So he set that up because coach talked to me about, hey, like, I know this is hard on your legs to travel, like flying earlier, it might be good for you. So I flew in earlier that week, and then I was obviously traded, and I was like, wow, my legs are feeling like how they should feel, how I know I'm conditioned, everything. And I have the skill and I have the ball more now. And I was like, all right, well, it's just time to go out there and do what I do. And lo and behold, I set the point record in that game and we won. And it was, they were on a 3-game losing streak. I think it was, or something like that. Or no, not a 3-game losing streak. They're 1 or 2 games out of first place because of, they lost a couple 1-goal games. And so for me to come in and do that and set that level of play that I could reach in that first game and get a win at Homewood. And after I was just traded, it was just kind of like a special moment for me, just because it was like a lot of eyes on me almost. And I delivered. And I think it was people recognizing that I was good and like giving me the credit I deserve more. But like, it was more so like I was just doing my job and I knew what I could bring to the table. And it was nice to just feel appreciated by, you know, my teammates that they knew what kind of skills that I had and what kind of teammate I was. And we got the win. So it's a really nice day overall.
That's awesome. So last but not least, a little segment on the channel called Quick Talk. I'm just going to basically tell you a word or a sentence or a phrase and just kind of give me a fast response. Are you ready?
All right, give me a second.
Starting off easy here.
Let's go.
So what comes to mind when I say the word food?
Pizza.
Really? I thought you would pick Chipotle. PLL's cockiest player.
Jake Bernhardt.
Okay. If not Rutgers, then
Navy.
PLL in 5 years.
Where Major League Soccer was 8 years ago.
Okay, love that. Love that. Biggest trash talker in the PLL.
Dominique Alexander.
Really? An Ohio State guy?
Yeah.
Okay. Katie DeFeo.
Great friend. Has a lot of potential to do something great in the sport of lacrosse.
Least favorite defender to be covered by?
Bryce Young.
Okay. Most swag in the league?
Drew Snyder.
Okay. Nicest guy in the league?
Tom Schreiber.
RJ Kaminsky.
A boatload of energy.
Last but not least, you're 24 now. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I see myself as, you know, one of the best players, I think, in the game. I think I'm on that trajectory. And I think if I stay that way, I can do that. It's my goal. And the goal is to win championships and then building my stuff off the field, mission prime, becoming a better coach, becoming a better leader. I'm a better man.
Sweet. Jules, I really appreciate you coming on here talking, being on the first ever PELK Talk, honestly. Where can the fans find you at?
Fans can find me at Jules Heningburg on Instagram, at Jules Heningburg on Twitter, at Mission Prime. Follow Mission Prime as well. All right.
There we go. All that stuff will be in the description below. This will be as a YouTube video and as a podcast on the podcast app, Spotify and SoundCloud. Way more to come, but Jules Heningburg, first ever guest on PELK Talk. I really appreciate it.
My man, thank you for having me. That was great.